In this video, I'm going to show you how to cut drywall around electrical boxes, and we're going to do it right now. So I've had a couple comments on some of my videos about this particular subject. They ask, how do you cut around outlets or receptacles, whatever you want to call them, light switches, plugs, with, when you're hanging drywall. So in order to explain this, I don't currently have anything to drywall, but I figured I would set up this little thing here where I have my box, my fake wire that ends right there. And we're going to pretend that this is a wall and this is a wall. We're going to pretend that this is another sheet of drywall and that this is the floor. And we're going to pretend that this is the piece of drywall that you need to put in this section. And I'm going to show you how to cut around this box. So let's get started. So if you're laying this out to start with rough electrical like this, you have all your wires running, everything. The first thing you want to do is tuck these wires in. And I'll show you a couple different ways to do this. The first one is going to be probably the most typical, where people use a tool called a Rotozip to cut these out. And I think it's an awesome tool, especially if you have a lot of drywall to do. But the first thing you want to do is tuck these in. And I'm also going to show you if there's an outlet here or a switch here already, what you can do, because this method might not work for that. But for the time being, we're just going to tuck those in, and you want to make sure you have your piece cut to the walls and make sure it fits in. That's the first step. So make sure that that fits in place of where you want it to go first, and then you can take some measurements for the box. So in the circumstance that you have your rough electrical run, you have the boxes on the wall, and you're hanging to the studs, you have your piece cut, you know it's going to fit in place. Now you can measure for that box. And like I said, I'm going to use a tool called a Rotozip. And what you want to do is, if you're using a Rotozip, measure to one of the walls. Doesn't matter which one, this one or that one. So we'll go side to side first, and dead center of this is 14 inches. And then measure from either the other piece of drywall or to the floor, like this, to about center. So I'm going to measure off of this piece of fictional drywall. That's 8 inches. So 14 by 8 inches. And I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to measure from here 14 inches, and I'll make a mark right here, and then I'll measure down 8 inches right here, and right there should be about center of my box. I'm gonna push this into place as much as I can. This is gonna be a little more difficult because it's a smaller piece of drywall, and that's where the other technique is probably gonna come in a little handier. But you can push your piece into place, and wherever you can, you wanna get some screws started. So up here, I get a screw started there. I don't wanna drive them home because this box is not going to let me. And right here, I'll put one down here, and that's pretty good for now. So you don't want to tighten them down too far because you will end up breaking the sheetrock or the drywall around where you put the screws in. So as long as you nest it up tight against the box, you're good for the next step. Now this is a tool that's called a Rotozip, and it has a rotating blade on it. It just spins, and the blade is designed so that it won't cut through plastic or metal or anything besides drywall, as long as you don't hold the blade there too long, and you're very careful you don't try and force it. But what happens is you take this tool, turn it on, and it'll plunge cut into the drywall, and then you can find the edges of the box and then just kind of maneuver this around the box, and it'll make a perfect cut around the box. Let me show you how it works. Probably a good idea to wear a mask because this can get a little dusty. I'm going to turn this on, plunge cut it, maneuver around, find the box, and kind of pull it out, and then go to the other side of the box, and then just follow the profile of the box and cut this drywall out. I should also mention not to go too deep with this because you don't want to hit the wires that are in that box. Here we go. There's the box. Get out. That's it. Now you can push the drywall and see that it's a perfect cut around that. Of course, there's going to be gaps in some of the locations, but if you're careful, you put light pressure against the box while you're cutting, you should have a perfect cut. And now that you cut the box out, you can finish putting your screws in and tightening this drywall into place, and you're all set. Now let's say you have the scenario of having a switch in the box already. Everything's all wired, you're just replacing the drywall. You took the drywall down, you want to put new drywall up. Well, that technique that I just showed you might not work because the switch is sticking out so far, so the screws might not actually hold this against, and you don't want to mess around with the switch too much. So in this case, here's what you do. So you want to do the same thing as far as getting your piece measured correctly. Cut it to the right length and the right width, and then you want to take some measurements for the box. Now what I like to do is write this stuff down or go directly over to the sheet of drywall as soon as I take the measurements. I'm going to measure from this side. So as long as I pull from that side of the drywall and mark it, my measurement will be accurate. I'm measuring from that side, and remember, you do have a little bit of wiggle room with the plate cover that's going to go on this switch, but you want to measure to this side of the box, which is about 12 7/8, and then you want to measure to this side of the box, which is about 15 1/4. So I'm going to write down 12 7/8 and 15 1/4. And I'm just going to make sure that that's the same on the bottom. And it looks like it is. And then I want to do the same thing like this. And I'm going to measure to the actual box. You'll notice that these metal pieces are sticking out a little more, but I'll show you what to do with those in a minute. So I'm going to write down 5 15 16ths and 9 7/8. So 5 15 16ths, and double check, 9 7/8. Now I'm going to go over to my piece and mark those measurements on my piece. So measuring from the same end, wherever you measured from, 12 7/8. Make a mark right here, and then I'm going to take this down like this, 12 7/8. Make a mark right here. Next measurement, 15 1/4. Right here. And then same here, 15 1/4. Then from the top, 5 15/16, 5 15/16, and a 1/16 of an inch, maybe pushing it. That is a really small measurement. Like I said, you have some play with the plate cover. And then 9 7/8. Okay. Mark there. Make a mark here. Here. And here. Now, you can cut this out with the same thing I showed you, the Rotozip, but here's another option if you don't want to buy that tool. This is what they call a keyhole saw. It's made for cutting drywall, and it has this sharp point on the end, which you put right into that corner and kind of tap the end of it, and it goes right through, and you can do that this whole way around and just cut this box out. Now you should have a perfectly cut hole. However, what's happening is those metal pieces are stopping the drywall from actually going in and around that box. So what you could do is take a utility knife and cut around them, or you can take some needle nose pliers and grab these, and these are actually made to break off. So if you wiggle them back and forth, you can break them right off. Now your switch or outlet will stay in the box. If you're worried about that, because maybe it's not touching here or there, you can, like I said, cut around it with a utility knife or a Rotozip. But now you can take your piece and work it right in there and push it into place. And then you attach your screws and you should be good to go. And like I said, you have some wiggle room with the plate cover. So you can see there's a little gap right there. But once you put that on, covers that right up. So I hope this video helped you out. If it did, leave me a comment below, let me know. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can click Hereish and Hereish and check those out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely consider it, because I got a ton of home repair stuff, time lapses, and all kinds of cool stuff. So check it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.